Cries Mary. So, if you were here last week, I kind of began to talk about this. I had a Mary experience. And I don't know if some of you have heard me talk about the Mary experience I had before, but this is what kind of informed the talks this month. That's where this Wind Cries Mary comes from. I was at a retreat center up at Casa de Maria a couple years ago. It was a silent retreat. So I was there. I had my little water bottle. They gave me a sign. There had a water bottle on it, and on the water bottle it said, "I'm in a silent retreat." And I just love it when people start to talk to me. I go, I can't talk, you know. So I'm there, and this was a much better silent retreat than my first ever silent retreat, where I started hearing Isaac Hayes singing "Something in the Way She Moves" in my head over and over and over. But this time I actually had silence. I actually was able to get into. I know that was intense, right? And I went to the Zen master, who was every day you would get to sit with the Zen master and talk about your experience at the retreat. This is the first one where I heard the Isaac Hayes thing, and I tell him I'm hearing Isaac Hayes. He says, "Oh, good, listen." I go, "What?" But after 3 days, it finally did. It kind of chilled out. It faded to black, and it was nice. It was a wonderful experience.
Faded to black.
Isn't that nice? Thank you. And so I went. So I love going to silent retreats. So I'm on this one here, and I'm sitting at this bench, and I'm listening to the creek, and there's a little waterfall, and there's a little trickle, 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 and I'm just really listening for the babbling of the brook. I'm listening for the language of the brook to speak to me. I was unprepared for what spoke to me. It was Mary, literally. I heard what I thought said, "Come and pray at my feet." And my first thought was, and that's the statue. That's the Mary statue that I was sitting across from. It said, "Come and pray at my feet." And I thought to myself, I'm a religious scientist. I don't pray at the feet of Mary. But then my next thought was, I'm a religious scientist.
That's right.
I cannot miss an opportunity to experience Spirit when Spirit talks. And what more is Spirit than Mary, which I found out. So I did. I went over and I kneeled at her feet. They had a little kneel thing there, and up there. And I was there for 30 minutes on my knees. And tears were rolling down my face. And love was washing over me. And compassion and forgiveness. And there was this warmth, there was this embrace that I had not experienced before in that kind of a scene. And so I stayed with her. In fact, the next day, she had been sitting out in nature for years, who knows. So the next day I went and got all my cleaning supplies out of my camper van, and I went up to her and I gave her a bath, and I washed her down. And every day I would go back and I would sit at Mary for the next 4 days. And when I came back from Casa de Maria, from my Mary experience, I became a Marian. I became one who studies and understands and really gets into the story. And you know, Mary is intense. She's like a rock star. There are only a few passages about Mary in the Bible. Most of what we know about Mary is not in the canonical Bible, but it's in the apocryphal Bibles. It's in the book of James and in the books that are written directly about her. It's the after story.
Yes.
But when you think about this powerful image of motherhood. What better mother to talk about on the eve of Mother's Day, I thought. And as I came to the idea, look at her, look at the peace. Look at the comfort, the understanding. There's this look of, yeah, I got you. I'm holding you. Everything's going to be all right. And that's what Spirit tells us. Everything is all right. It's good, as Reverend Larry tells us every week. Life is good. Life is good. So as I was preparing the month of talks and breaking things up, I thought, would I talk about Mother's Day on the day before Mother's Day? And no, what I really want to talk about is this rock star of spirituality and who she is for us. Because you know, we all need a mother figure. We all need a mother figure. We all have a mom, right? And some moms are truly right out of central casting. And others teach us that we need to have some of these Marian principles in how we live our life. We need to have the understanding, we need to have the compassion, we need to express the love and give the forgiveness, because we have to understand that Mom is doing the best she can. And it seems that everyone likes this idea, particularly of the Mary story. You know, the Jews celebrate Mary. The Muslims celebrate Mary. They revere Mary. Non-Christians celebrate Mary. And so as we go into this eve of Mother's Day, I was thinking, who really needs a mother right now, really bad? And what came to me is Mother Earth. Mother Earth needs a mother. And that's where the wind cries Mary. The wind, the language of the earth, is blowing pretty strong off the coast of Carolinas with Anna, but the winds are blowing. And they're calling, they're crying out for some of us, someone to love, to truly love and to listen. You know, I started listening to Mother Earth a long time ago when I started camping. I really enjoyed camping. I didn't get to start camping until I was an adult. I think the first time I camped was maybe 21 years old. Went to a place called Inks Lake in northwestern Texas. Such a beautiful, pristine place. The kind of camping that you read about in the books where you drive your car to a field and you go, well, I think I'll camp right there. Not one of these campground places where the next person's camping right next to you. This is like real camping. I'm going to go and camp anywhere I want. And we did. And it was just beautiful. And I just, next thing I did, I went out to Big Bend and camped at Big Bend. And since then, I've been taking time to listen to nature. So much so that in 1989, on the eve of the 20th anniversary of Earth Day, my bosses came to me and they said, would you like to start your own special environmental report? And I said, sure, yeah, I like this. And they thought about it long before asking me. I said, well, what are we going to call it? And we're going to call it Steve Rambo's Daily Planet. All I heard was daily. You know, when I told people about it, they were like, oh, you got your own segment named after you, but I heard daily. Daily reports on Mother Earth. That's special. That was a special time. And that required some very special listening. And George Washington Carver talks about this kind of listening. He says, if you love it enough, anything will talk to you.
That's the truth.
If you love it enough, anything will talk to you. So this week, as I go through this talk, what I want to encourage us is to love it enough to let it talk to us. To love Mother Nature enough, to love the earth enough, to love whatever you're called to experience in earth. And it doesn't have to be the physical ground experience, because it's all, as Dan was telling us, it's all one. It could be the political process. It could be how people relate to one another. But there is an experience of earth that is calling you to listen and to love it. There was this guy named Denny who was doing something called still hunting. Still hunting is where you go out into the woods and you find a spot where it looks like maybe animals have been roaming around or something like that. You look a trail or something, and you just go out and you sit. Kind of dress in, maybe not camouflage clothes like Rambo, but you might go and sit in something that's going to blend in a little bit. Don't wear any perfumes or extra colognes or anything, and just sit. Just sit. Still hunting, it's called. And you wait for nature to return to its balance and to forget that you're there. And this guy Denny was doing that. And while he's sitting there, this is incredible, while he's sitting there, these deer, 3 deer, come up and walk into this meadow where this guy is sitting. Now, deer are pretty flighty, right? So he's just chilling out with the deer, watching them, and did something really smart. When the deer went left, he sort of flanked them a little bit. He didn't give them eye contact, but he sort of stayed with them, and he stayed with them as they moved through the forest, a safe distance away, slightly whispering to them, talking to them lovingly, and he was able to stay with them the rest of the afternoon. In fact, that evening, when the 3 deer sat down in the meadow, one sat to the north, one to the west, one to the east, and they left the south view open. They left the south view open for him to sit to the south, so they could all be as one. That's the value of still hunting. That's the value of listening until anything talks to you, until the deer can actually talk to you. That's a mother kind of love. So going back to the idea of cries. I really do believe the earth is crying out right now. I believe that the Great Mother is crying to us and asking us to step up and do something. You know, we got drought. I mean, we heard about the drought. This drought is supposed to be like the worst drought in 1,200 years for Southern California. You know, crazy. We hear about extinction of animals going on. We hear about the Earth's population is just exploding. Yeah, maybe in America it's slacked off a little bit. In some of the European countries it's slacked off a bit. In other parts of the world, though, the population is just blowing up. You know, we're on our way past 7 billion, on our way to 8 billion people. And the planet, the way we take care of it, is not going to be able to handle 8 billion people very comfortably. We need to change something. Talk about that consciousness change. We need a major shift in consciousness for us to be able to handle that kind of population on this dear earth. Food is a limited supply. But Ernest Holmes is very serious about this. He understood that nature is comprised of one ultimate power using many instruments and having many avenues of expression. And those avenues of expression, my friends, are crying out to us saying, pay attention, pay attention, love us. And this is a spiritual activity to partake in. Because we are one with this system. We are a part. We are one of those avenues of expression. We are part of that unlimited power. And it's up to us to use the instruments that we have available to us, the senses, the inner and the outer, the physical and the inner senses, to listen and to pay attention and to stop doing stupid stuff. I heard the other day that Nestle's company...
Be careful now.
Well, I got to go here. I got to go here. The Nestle company has used a quirk in the rules to bottle water.
That's right.
From California. Y'all know about this?
Yeah.
Nestle's gets their water from the Morongo Indian Reservation.
That's right.
And because Indian reservations are sovereign territories,
Wow.
they are not under the guidelines of the state of California for water use. They can take as much water from the groundwater as they possibly want, put it into bottles, and sell it all over the world. Nestle's is shipping California water out of the state while we're in the midst of a drought.
That's right.
I just came back from Salt Lake City. Somebody told me this while I was in Salt Lake, so I looked it up on the internet. I couldn't believe it was happening, and that's how it's happening, because they got the water from the Indian reservation. Not that I'm bad on the Indian reservation. They got a right to make money just like anybody else. But let's do it smart. Let's use our many instruments and listen with our avenues of expression to the one ultimate power that says, love your mother. Love your mother. So when I left the airport at Salt Lake City, Utah, I had 3 Nestle's water bottles with me. I figured, hey, I'm coming back to California. I'm bringing my water back.
That's right.
All right. She's crying out to us. She's crying out to us. And we have a role. We have a role to play.